Hi everyone, I am excited to be speaking at Web3 Con. Shout out to the organizers and the co-creators of this great event. I can say I'm super honored to be sharing my insight on brand design principles in Web 3.0. And most of all, you may be asking, what is brand design? That's like you might be thinking that this is the first time I'm hearing about brand design because I'm used to visual design, graphic design, product design, UI, UX. So we're going to touch base on who a brand designer is and what are their responsibilities. But before we get started, let me introduce myself formally. This is me right here, the amazing guy. So a Nigerian by birth and nationality, and I'm a designer. I speak two languages that can actually make me bilingual. You might be wondering, how did I get like learning how to speak Mandarin? Well, I was super interested during the pandemic, and I learned how to. The next one here is that, like, if I'm not designing, I'm probably gaming and spending more time with my Quest 2 and my PlayStation. And if I'm not gaming, I'm collecting an NFT. So I have this on my profile, Paras NFT collector by night, designer by day. So, and yeah, I'm currently a collector, NFT collector on Near Protocol, and that was how I actually got into Web3. I got introduced to Web3 through like Nada and Sasha, and so far it has been going great. I must say I'm excited to be sharing my insights on brand design principles, but this has been like my role, and my skill set for a very long time. So before we get started, you must be familiar about commandments in the Bible if you're Christian. So I have this. This might be like irrelevant for you, but I had to put this up here on my slide because I always check this out before I embark on any project, be it personal or in-house. So I have this commandment that I have pasted on my workspace. I look at it before I get started. So if you're interested, I can do that for you. The first one is a good design is innovative. The second commandment goes this way: good design makes a product or service very, very useful. The third one is good design is aesthetically pleasing. The fourth, good design makes the product understandable. And the last and not the least, good design is environmentally friendly. So I find these five commandments, very, very soothing because it helps me to stay on track when I'm working on projects. You get, so you can take a screenshot or have this, on your workspace like me too, if you want to. So yeah. So the essence of this space is for us to talk about brand design and its relevance in the Web3 space. And here talking about brand design, so excited. So before we get started, I know you all must have this question or might have this question for me about who is a brand designer, what are the responsibilities, like what are these people doing, and how are they relevant in the Web3 space? Okay, before we get started, we know about brand design. So brand design is very, very easy to understand. Brand design, designing for the brand. So a brand designer is a creative professional, that improves the brand efforts across product, service, and organization in a way that makes communication seamless, across all platforms. And I bet you brand designers wear so many hats that most people don't know. So they have to make sure that they communicate everything from the product and also from the marketing side. And I bet you brand designers have been doing a lot of work in the Web3 space. And so far, I'm not shocked that there are a lot of people hiring for brand designers right now in the Web3 space because of how they have been able to the foster collaboration, across the product, team and also the marketing team. And yeah, so there are rules and responsibilities that a brand designer should have. This, could be a hard skill, a soft skill, but I bet you these skill sets can make you a great and exceptional brand designer. Over time, I've been able to understand and know how all these skill sets work because of my experience in this space. And the first one is being able to strategize. So if as a brand designer, if you understand brand strategy, it's going to help you. The other one is understanding about advertising, storytelling, and marketing. So like I said earlier, as a brand designer, you should also see yourself as a marketing guy because you have to understand how the users work, probably or the audience work. Remember, you're not just designing flyers, posters, web pages. You're also designing like swags. You're also designing for the environment. They call it spatial design. You're also designing for stuff that will be 3D printed. I don't know, not like I'm not talking about being designing for hardware, but you are designing for like the merchandise. And as a brand designer, you have to be creative to design something that people admire. And you all know how swags have been able to, make users loyal to a brand over time. Like I bet you, if I send you a Coinbase swag, you won't like me, you won't love me. Yet if I send you an Ethereum swag, Ethereum socks, or Ethereum hoodie, or a Bored Ape of pants, I bet you won't love me. So these are the things that brand designers do, for products or companies, and so this is how they've been able to like make sure that they make the users or the audience loyal to the brand that we're working with. Yeah, and that's enough. You should also understand as a brand designer that before you embark on any project, you've got to understand the goal of the product, service, or community, because products differs, service differs, and community differs. And so far, we have so many DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and they have so many functions. So you can't employ a particular function in terms of brand design for a different, DAO that focuses on healthcare or social impact, or you hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So you've got to be creative and know and be flexible about the whole thing. That's why it's important to understand the goal. And you've got to define and evolve the brand efforts on physical and digital platforms. So remember, as a brand designer, you've got to be flexible. You're not just designing for the physical platform, you're also designing for the digital platform. And if you ask me what are the physical platform, like the merchandise that you all print, the swags, the t-shirt, the hoodies, billboards, and all that, teacups. So digital platforms, Twitter, web pages, and all. And the third one here goes like, you've got to make sure that you create like a connected visual experience that engages and strengthens the whole brand image in a decentralized approach. Because one, you're designing for the Web3 space, and you know how the space is a space that you design for trust. You've got to make sure that everything about the whole thing is compelling, be it the identity, be it the color, be it typography, be it everything, the buttons, the marketing design should be, it should invoke the level of trust and unionism. And the last one is upholding brand style guide and system. So I've not seen a brand designer that don't understand that style guide should exist, because this is what this is a guide that helps to foster collaborations among developers, and designers or marketing guys. So if you're hiring a contractor, this style guide will help to like bridge those conversations that you have on Slack, on Discord, on Telegram about, can you send me this, send me that? Just send them the whole guide and they're good to go. So let us dive into the brand design principles that we actually got here to do. I'll be talking about the brand designer, and their responsibilities. So let us dive into the brand design principles. And yeah, the first one we'll be touching base is the identity part. So these are the principles that you have to like abide when you are designing for the Web 3.0. So first of all is the identity part. So before you work on an identity for this space, you've got to make sure that it's very simple. Look at the likes of Near Protocol, Coinbase, MetaMask, Ethereum, lot of like Web3 products, and organizations. They always have something in common. The simplicity. They try to simplify the identity to make sure that it has like the perfect, the perfect like hook like with the users or whoever that is using the platform. And it shouldn't design something that is quite scattered. Though we have like types of logo type, we have like a bunch of logo types, mascots, like monograms and the calligrams and like the monochromatic logos and all that. But in this case, you've got to make sure that your identity is very, very, very simple, because you're not just designing for web pages, products, app icons and all that. You've got to make sure that your identity is simple upon its visual applications, because the visual application is what makes the identity like magnificent, So you've got to make sure it's less. So less is more in this case when you're working on identity for a Web3 product, service, or a community. I can say DAO, yeah. So the next one here is having a compelling or a compulsive color palette, and this is a problem. This was my problem before I actually, I read like a bunch of articles on Medium and understood about colors. So colors has a thing with like human psychology, and you also know that color improves accessibility. Some people are colorblind, and you don't need to use something that is harsh. It's going to affect them. And remember, we are designing to we are designing for trust, in this Web3 space. So you've got to use a color that is calm, invokes comfort, gives them this sense of like availability, okay, a sense of, okay, you are inclusive and all that. So exclusivity is not something that we need in this space. So you've got to use like the right colors, for the right brand. And brands, services or DAOs have different things that that separates them. So the colors too can differ. But if you are using a particular color for a different project, you've got to make sure that you generate the right palette that will make it awesome. You've got to use something that will work across so many platforms. And the third one is consistency. And it's very, very hard to keep stuff cohesive. It's never hard to keep everything cohesive when you are working on a brand design. But if you've got your style guide and you know how to work on your brand collaterals, that's something you've got to do. So making sure that your social images, your banners, your mix, your style guides are consistent is very important when you're working on a Web3, product service, of service. So in this case, like having your stuffs all consistent is something that's very important in this case. Yeah. The next one is designing for emotions. So you're designing to invoke emotion per se, and there are three things you check. First one is the aesthetic. Second one is the functionality, or let's say the usability, and the third one is the brand fulfillment. So if you're designing for Web3, you must make sure that it's very aesthetic, because of course something needs to be pleasing to the eye. You get, though a design was not regarded, way back in this space, but right now I see the importance of design. The last one here is create brand guidelines, and you all know that brand guidelines are very important, and we also have brand systems too. Like I said, one like designing interactive layouts that you can always use, on your future projects, and brand style guides are very important because it helps to keep everything on check. It helps to like makes the process very easy, and it fosters collaborations with the marketing unit, also the product unit. And as a brand designer, this should be made available at all times. And thank you for listening to my talk. So if you missed that part, I introduce myself. This is me here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Web3Con. Thank you, Developer DAO.